Hello, this is Caveman PRDR. Welcome to another weapon review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Ros Arago IV. Auto rifle is an adaptive frame that drops in the world loot pool this season. Like I said, adaptive frame. Personally, I think adaptive frames are a little bit weak, especially for PvP. Even with the buff that they got, I don't necessarily think that they're still like meta contenders or anything, but I think it makes them usable. But let's go over the roles. I think for PvE, I think you go with either tac mag or extended mag, maybe appended in column 3. In PvE, if you're going for a Gyrfalcon specific role, I think you go with repulsor brace and maybe golden tricorn or surrounded for PvE. I think subsistence, and otherwise, if you don't go for a Gyrfalcon's role, I think subsistence or rewind rounds is going to be the way to go to get some ammo back in the magazine, either after a kill or whenever you empty the magazine without having to reload. I think in column 4, damage perks are going to be the way to go with surrounded and golden tricorn. There may be a play for attrition orbs. I personally haven't seen it yet, but I think it's there. I think there is a low key hidden role that may be good for in game content with permeability and golden tricorn. If you're trying to match a enemy shield type, you can just use your class ability and it will change. If you have permeability, you use your class ability, it will change the weapon from void to whatever your current subclass is. And I think you can pair that with golden tricorn very well as a combo for PvE. Now for PvP, my personal role, I'm going with Arrowhead Break to bring the recoil direction up. This is at base 47 recoil direction, super duper low, and I find that personally for me as a controller user, I think Arrowhead Break is necessary. I think mouse and keyboard could go for something, could go for another perk. I personally want to go with Arrowhead Break. Column 2, I think either accurized rounds or steady rounds may be the way to go. Accurized probably a little bit better, but it's kind of hard to really get much of a say between the two. If you're using Gyrfalcons in PvP, and this is the way that I think that you should go with this gun, I think you go with Repulsor Brace and Onslaught, and this is pretty close to the role that I have, not quite what I have, but I think you do the gameplay loop of putting a void debuff on the enemy target and then killing them, and then whenever you kill them, you gain a an overshield from repulsor brace, and you can also get invisibility and wall hacks from the kit of the Night Stalker and the use of Gyrfalcons. And then Onslaught increases your rate of fire after a final blow. This is actually very helpful in potentially getting a multi kill. I think this is probably one of the better perks that we've had come back in a while. So, in my personal opinion, this is the best Ros Arago role for PvP. But if you're not using Gyrfalcons, I think you can go with Dynamic Sway and maybe Onslaught. I think even Rewind rounds with Onslaught might be pretty good for PvP. I'm going to go say the same for Golden Tricorn. I think increasing the damage on this archetype is fairly important as well. So if you choose not to necessarily use Gyrfalcons, I think Rewind rounds or Dynamic Sway with Golden Tricorn is probably going to be the way to go. And I think you're either going to want more stability or more range. I personally like to mix both. So, with that perk selection being said, we're going to do a breakdown of how the Gyrfalcon's role works exactly. So, Repulsor Brace, defeating a void debuffed target grants an overshield. Gyrfalcons, your void weapons gain volatile rounds after you emerge from being invisible. When you were invisible and defeat a combatant while using a finisher, all your weapons gain bonus damage, and you and your allies gain a reserve overshield and improved class ability regen. These reserve overshields can be deployed by using a class ability. The second part of that is used for PvE. The void weapons gain volatile rounds in PvP. while you're invisible, or after breaking the invisibility. So what you're doing with the gameplay loop is you're putting a debuff on the enemy target. Generally, the easier way to do this is just to lead an engagement while being invisible, and you're using all of this with Stylish Executioner. So you do the volatile rounds onto the enemy target, and whenever you kill that target, Stylish Executioner activates, defeating a weakened, suppressed, or volatile target's grants invisibility and True Sight. True Sight is a temporary wall hack. So the way this works in PvP is whenever you get the kill on the void debuff target, your Gyrfalcons activates, you get overshield, you get temporary wall hacks, and you get a refresh on the temporary invisibility. It's actually kind of a wild gameplay loop. For fragments, I try to use things that also give more debuffs. I'm personally using Mobius Quiver. I think you want one of these two to use with this build. Snare Bomb weakens targets, which is a void debuff. I like using Echo of Undermining. Your void grenade weakens targets, so that way that's even more avenue to debuff a target. So I have 4 ways to debuff targets with my kit. We're talking about using Snare Bomb, Echo of Undermining with the grenade, Mobius Quiver or the super, whichever one you plan on using, Deadfall or Mobius Quiver, and then also using the dodge rolled Gyrfalcons. So I think personally this is the way to play Ros Aragos, or Ros Arago. If you liked today's video, please consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment down below. Thank you for watching, and as always, have a good one.